Thanks for joining me again. Tuesday. So yesterday I did a quick vid for my off books Monday madness idea, and it was an update that my books are now online. So what I did was I spent some time showing you a few models throughout my range. Not all of them. Okay, I've got a pretty big range. Today what I want to do is work through some small materials in order to give CB Outdoors his ferro rod. I'm going to chuck an extra one in for the good lady. Alright, so there's two coming through in G10 with a black liner. There's a one in U for the one with the Green Man emblem on the sheath, and there's an antler one for his name is Lee. His Danelaw, Big Fanelaw in Desert Ironwood. He needs one in antler. So today is getting the materials and them epoxied in, so that tomorrow I can finish them off and whatever. And it's a big sort of hello. Apparently there's a vid coming up. If it's Tuesday, it's today or tomorrow. Now this vid is a YouTuber who put himself up for a review, and so a knife went out to him for review. I don't do it very often. I have had initial sort of inquiries in the past, and it never really came to pass. I offered up something and I never really heard back. This particular person has followed through right the way through, and has done their due and given me a review. Also a big shout out to Rich Torn, because he didn't owe me anything from that when he won the raffle for the big falchion, and I had a lot of interest from him showcasing that in one of his own videos. He didn't have to, okay. It's just worked out really good, and from that I've had a lot of interest. So as I mentioned on my video, I didn't want my books closed when this new video review test comes out, because I'll just end up shooting myself in the foot. So now my books are definitely open, so that I'm ready to go just in case I get a couple of orders from that vid. What I obviously do again is I'm going to be online for about an hour after this one goes up, and gets sort of finalised and all the rest of it. There's another one that I wanted to do because I had a lot of interest from that MSK1 video. People asking me, can you really replace hatchet with it or what? The edge that is on it now, that I've put on it, really picked up the performance, and so what I wanted to do was a little bit of a run through on my chopping horse out there. So that's coming as well. Again, when that one's uploaded, maybe if it's Wednesday, maybe Thursday, so I'll be online, and my honest opinion as I post it back to the chap who owns it. So you'd be interested in the results of that. It's not a massive in-depth sort of thing, but it's just to highlight the performance that is on that particular one that he's got now, and a bit of a head-to-head with a few different weight hatchets, because it's got this aura that the ultimate survival tips guy, he leaves his hatchet at home, and so basically if I can, I'll try and put that narrative to rest. Prove or unprove, otherwise you'll have to wait and see what happens when the vid comes up. But I've done it its due. It's as a tool now with a good edge on it. It's a good tool. So that was a look forward to at some point in the week. I'm cracking on now. I've had a decent tidy up this morning. 3 orders on the go from emails this morning. Things are picking up. So I'm cracking on with these ferro rods in terms of getting them together in size, cutting them up and everything, getting them inside, prepping them, glue them. You'll see them come through sometime in the week. I'll clean the Kydex station off. If I can crack on with that today, that would be cool. But if the thing I'm mindful of today is getting the rooms where the bench is going tidy for when that bench arrives. So all that is ready indoors, because when this box arrives, God knows how big it's going to be. It's going to be wardrobe size for all the timber. So that's my plan today. So thanks for joining me, and what we'll do is we'll just follow a few of the ferro rods through. The easiest way I find to cut G10s with my circular saw, because I can set the fence up and get something that's straight for the minimum amount of coarse deflection what I would do on my little metal cutting bandsaw. I do lose a fair bit of stock because of the curve of the blade being 2.83mm thick. You lose that material, so you need to be efficient with it. When people get very fastidious with using the correct saw blade for the material, whether you're ripping down through material or whether you're cross cutting the material that it is, you can end up with all sorts of weird and wonderful fantastic blades. You can end up with 60 teeth or 80 teeth, you know, snarly down to fine teeth. You can get teeth that go like that as it goes on, like skip tooth. It's the centre to one side and centre to the other side, so that it sort of destroys the material less, and you get less breakout, or it skims through, or leaves a finer finish on the edge, so the actual sawn edge is as good as finished. Because this is a cheap saw, I used the blade that it come in, and when I replace the blade I'll get one with more teeth on. So in order to protect the material a fair amount, you could put a base plate of MDF or ply underneath it. What I'm going to use is masking tape, just to keep it together, and just to make it just bind it that little bit more as it goes through the saw blade. And I'm not going to run it through stupid fast, okay? It's a rough and ready, I wouldn't say trade rated circular saw, so it's a bit like a pillar drill. If you get your chuck, you end up with a real beautiful bit of kit like a pillar drill. The spindle doesn't move, it's all in bearings. Okay, you end up with a hobby one, there's a little bit of movement. So with this, it's just going to get pushed through ever so slightly, gently with a push stick. Another little thing is, obviously, because I want 2 ferro rods, I want 2 of these pieces for 1 liner. I've done it before in the school thinking I want 40 pieces, and in my head I'll cut 40 of them and 40 of them and end up with 20 of these left over. So you need to consider, if you're laminating, don't forget that if you've got the centerpiece, if you're doing 3, you only need half as many. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 20mm section off of there, and that's going to be 1 liner there and 1 liner there. I might end up with a small bit spare, I don't know, maybe whatever. Could use it as a bead, so I'll put that in the spares box. For this I need twice as many, so I'm going to go deeper and do the length of it rather than the width, which was on here. So I'm going to cut 55mm, 50mm off of here. That's going to be the size of the ferro rod's actual handle, and then I'm going to put the pieces that way on, and then cut 20mm sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that as I go through. Again, I might have a bit left over that goes in the bits box. Right, so let's get going and rip some stuff up. Rough and ready 100 quid saw. So I'm going to do the thin stuff first. So just over 20mm I'm going to do 21mm, and I'll remember to cut it to 21, 22mm on the handle bits. Try and give yourself as much light as possible. So I've got lights everywhere, and those IKEA little bendy swan neck things. I got that I can change direction throughout the workshop and just constantly give myself as much light as possible. So this one's going through for the 2 centre sections of the laminated ferro rods handles. So that's going to go through like that. It's a very thin section there, so the ferro rod, the push stick I'm going to use is the one that came with the actual kit. It's a bit flimsy, but it's a lot thinner in plastic, so it fits up and down in there. So that's ready to go. First piece of exercise you ever do when you get a bit of kit is you make a push stick. So you never attempted to do a job without one. So that's ready to go. I've got glasses on, and here's my mask. And pull wide. wait for that to stop. Now, purists would say that the blade is too high. Okay, now I understand that, but the problem is when the blade is depressed within the body of the saw, the teeth are coming up and actually striking the material. What I'd rather happen was the blade was a little bit higher than the bed and was coming down on it like saw teeth would be. So a material like this would get smashed to Jesus if it was coming at it like that. It would actually be getting hit end on end like that. So I'd much rather when it contacted the wheel, it was on the downstroke of the teeth here. So that's why it's proud. Purists would say the blade's too high, but I'd rather not damage the material. Plus you end up with this weird thing. It's not strictly kickback. Kickback is when the material is striking the rear of the blade and coming back at you, which is what the riving knife is supposed to avoid. One of these accidents is something that killed, is it Johnny Cash's brother, where the stop switch was up here out the way. So me personally, to save material, I've used circular saws. For all those saying, oh, you got the saw blade too high, there's a reason for it. The other thing was, as I was pushing it through slow, and just as it got to the end, you notice I went like that with the material that I cut. And the reason is the material is very small, and there's a chance it could disappear down inside the slot here and get lost forever. So right at that last minute, I'm making sure it goes through, and there it is. So pretty good condition, and so I reckon the masking tape saved it. One other little tip is when you get the material label on it, cut the other end. You can always see what you got. That's the last end you would cut. Right, so that's that one. Before I pick up the next piece, I change the fence for the measurement I want, which in my mind was 50-55. Don't get the next material and go down, because if you're absent-minded you'll end up cutting it the wrong bloody size. So now I'm going to go 50, 52, something like that. Okay, because it's smaller material I'm not going to go quite up to 60, because they're going to be quite dainty, these ferro rods. I'm happy with that. On with the mask. Not quite so worried about it falling down this time, so I don't necessarily need to push it quite so hard at the end to clear it. Okay, don't go near that thing till it stops spinning, not worth it. There's my material. So, don't need to cut that again, do need to cut this. Now that I've cut that the right length, this is ready to go that way to fit the length of those. Now, this is where old school Scotty does it his way. Anything more than 50mm, my rule is anything more than 50mm, I'm quite happy, if that's a word, happy, of gliding my fingers along there, because that is more than twice the distance of my thickness of my fingers to the blade, and I'm disciplined enough to do like that. You could put it through using just a push stick. The only snag is the wind and the rush of that, plus if you've got an extract running, could end up picking these things up. You're not supposed to put your fingers there, but if it's more than 50 my rule is I allow myself to. So again, don't do as I do, don't do as I say, it's just what I do. That's my old way. Right, now if you remember, what was the measurement? 22. It's off. So I'm not too worried if I cut off slightly less. So remember I said 22? It's ended up virtually 20 anyway. So I'm going to put it on 20. And now these, I'm going to get cut that way. And no messing, it's thin push stick, 20mm. The slot clearance in there is about 8mm. So when I'm pushing it through, I'm trying with my push stick to keep it up against the fence as I push 4 of these pieces through. Just be mindful, you want to push them and slightly away at the back as the fence ends. You want the work pieces that you finish with to come out that way rather than hit the back of the blade as it's coming up outside the saw. They'll never see them again, they'll be in the workshop somewhere. Right. Inside now, I hit the limit of the camera. So what I've done now is the different sections of the ferro rod that I've got here, so 2 of those to one liner, I've aggressively keyed down with some cut down 36 ceramic belts. It puts a nasty scoring key onto material like this, and I've cleaned it off with acetone and let it dry out. So now you can tell that, you know, there's a really good bite for the epoxy as I put these sort of fillets together, and I'm going to put glue all the way through here, level them up, and then leave them clamped overnight. These are the knives that they're going to be joining. So obviously I've used the same material, green G10, black G10 liners. Now whilst I had the plan to do some epoxy in, obviously I'm going to make sure that I have a little bit of a run. So I did 3 antler ferro rods. What I've done is I concentrated on the end that the ferro rod goes in, so I've finished this to a reasonable degree inside here, drilled it centrally so it actually looks like it should go on the end nice and true as it goes in. The joy of doing antler is you don't need that tiny hole at the bottom of the 8mm. What I do is I put a 2mm hole down through, so the epoxy's got somewhere to go, so this thing doesn't plunger back out with an air bubble or something. But because antler's got this like honeycomb effect down through the centre, this is the simplest thing in the world. It's just the restrictive part is the cost of the antler. And the smell, obviously, when you're recutting it, but I've got a metal bandsaw, so that's not too much of a trouble. You can get them from pet shops, but it works out crazy expensive. But hey, it's got a lovely sort of tactile, organic feel when you work with antler, and you're always able to get the direction of a right-handed or a left-handed. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll get these set. The epoxy I use is a marine based one, so it's none of that 24, no sorry, what I use is a marine based epoxy, none of that 5-minute rapid stuff from like pound shops. This is, you know, high quality engineering epoxy. I use the same epoxy throughout what I use the glue in. These will be set and glued and hardened off by tomorrow. And then I've got something that just helps bullseye the lanyard hole when I put it through. I could poodle it through with a 3.5 or a 4mm first before the 8. Go really slow because you always get a nasty bit of burst out on the other side. If you get a hollow like this, it might pay to drill in through that side, because you can't put any exit material on in a concavity like that. So you try and drill through from one side like this, where you've got a hollow, so that you can put that hard down onto some plywood or some softwood baseboard, The thing with a natural product like that, you'll have a chirality, so as the antler grows, you actually get right-handed and left-handed characteristics. Just perfect, fits in the hand, like almost like a pistol grip, you know. So these just, you know, it's just got that feel. So obviously consider that when you're working with antler. You know, one antler one side, one antler another, and then once I put a lanyard pin through there, which is a tube, I can tidy this all up, and then depending on how far you finish it, you got some residual brown, or what you grind away into it starts going white, and then I finish them in Danish oil, just to it's a natural resin based treatment, rather than something too artificial. I go to Danish oil, sort of got that nice sort of natural feel. But it's nice working in something like this rather than a totally manufactured product like a G10. It's just got that, you know, more ergo, more natural, tactile feel to it, and that's the point where it feels just awesome in your hand. It's just a wonderful connection to outside when you're working with antler. So pretty simple to do this stage. But it can be a right bind when you're putting the maybe accent pins or lanyard tubes in, and then finishing it all off. It can be a bit annoying, but the actual gluing of the ferro rods is a joy, because it just plunges in and that's it. Nice and simple. So thanks for joining me again. I've got 3 of these done. I'll just choose whichever's the best one for Lee's Danelaw setup. There's the G10 glued up to go with his and hers. So that's the plan for those, and catch you again tomorrow. But at the moment I'm pretty excited about where the vid's going to be up tonight of my review product. Excited is not the word. Thanks for joining me again. Scott Wessex Plays. So I'll do what I usually do, and that's be available on the comments section of the video when it's finally uploaded on YouTube, whether anything's piqued your interest on what the video is or on some previous stuff that you want to have a bit of a natter about, rather than the influx of the emails in the morning. You can actually talk to me there and then in the comment section onto this video. And I hope to see you on the next one, but at the moment looking forward to this, if this video gets uploaded tonight or tomorrow, for this review product of mine, and just see how it goes. So join me again, Scott Wessex Plays.